everything you need to solve any triangle. We're good? Yeah. Okay, intro to cosine law. Recall. Angle, angle, side, angle, side, angle, or SSA, okay? You got a pair out of that, which meant you had to use the sine law. That doesn't look like law. It looks like a sine law there. Two other cases you may encounter and cannot be solved. They cannot be solved using sine law. Would be side, 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 and side, angle, side. So side, side, side is obviously where all three sides are given, right? Side, angle, side, it's different. You basically got to think of two sides and the angle that's sandwiched in between them, right? That's a side, angle, side. That's the key that you need to recognize. Aha, this is going to be cosine law. So let's do this one. This is the angle, and they would give us these two sides here. That's also a side, angle, side scenario. So it's actually not, the side, side, side is dead giveaway, cosine law. This one, you might have to think a little bit about it, but as soon as you realize, oh, the angle is in between, then you know it's cosine law as well. No pair, okay? In these cases, you do not have a pair. Like, there's nothing you can do with side, side, side. There's nothing you can do to get a pair. You don't even have an angle. And with this one, you can clearly tell that there's no side across the angle you know. So there is no pair. That's another way of thinking about it. So you need to use the cosine law in that case. So now we're going to have to add formulas to your notes here. Okay, so if you have, I'm going to use a red pen. If you have a blue pen or something that sticks out, it's very, very helpful for this case. If it's an SAS case, this is how you want to start. So let's say in this particular case, my first formula, it's going to be focusing on those two there. And this is where my colored pen comes in. If you want to find that side, because remember, you would have side, angle, side provided like this. So the choice is to solve for that side right there. You'd have to go x squared, and this is where I switch colors, is equal to so if this is the side you want, then you've got to take the other two sides and square them. Almost looks like Pythagorean theorem at first. But here's where it takes a turn. Minus 2 times the first letter here, C, times the second letter, Y. Hey, you need to talk to me? 1 second, I'll be right there. Times cosine of, and this is where your pen comes back, capital X. Let's keep going. So this is formula number 1. And the other ones are just variations, so you can wrap your head around it. Got it? If you wanted to find, let's say, side Y, right? You would start with y squared equals 2. Look at where my pencil is holding. This is the side you want. So it's these two sides that would be squared. So c squared plus x squared minus 2 times c times x times cosine of the angle that's across side y. And the last but not least is, let's say you wanted to find side C, then you need to use the other two sides in no particular order, bless you. In no particular order, just grab them and square them. Minus 2 times x times y times cosine of C. And you don't have to, of course, have all 3 of these. One, I think, would do just fine, because then I will make a note here. You are solving for the side, comma, opposite to the angle, to the given angle. That's basically what you're doing when you're using that formula. And if time allows, I will show you a proof. This is like a whole page, a proof of why this is true, right? Might be a bonus again. Who knows? There were a lot of subscribers to that video, so a lot of you wanted to give it a try. Some of you did. So this is the formula for cosine law when it's an SAS. So you got to make sure your formula sheet or your study sheet has SAS and then this one. So you know, okay, that's the one. And SSS case, you need to find an angle. That's on page 11. I will make a note here right away. A negative numerator indicates an obtuse angle. And if you have a choice, start with the largest angle. And more about why I'm asking you to do that later. So here it is. Again, I will start with focusing on these two here. So let's say it's a side scenario. You're going to solve for this angle, let's say. You would then start like this. It's just a variation of the one I just gave you. Cosine of angle x is going to be equal to, are you following? I'm going to give you a little trick that's going to help you get it right every time. I put a long line like that. You're going to make sure you put minus x squared at the end. This is side x I must add, right? And then you take the other two sides, c squared plus y squared, like this, and just add it up front. But the key is that the side that's opposite the angle you're trying to find is at the end, and it's subtracting. That's the key. At the bottom, it's 2 times c, like this first side, times y, the second side. So the side x doesn't show up anymore at all. Okay. Variation number 2. Let's say you would want to find, because you have a choice, right? Let's say you want to find angle y. So you would start your equation with cosine of y, right? You're going to go at the end and slap the y squared at the end with a negative in front of it. And so if y is here, The other two sides would be c squared and x squared. Those are added. 2 times c times y. I always like to, sorry, this is not y. Do you see that that's a problem? It's this side here, x, cx. And then cosine of z, angle z. Did I say? Oh, I messed up my nice example here. Anyways, cosine of angle C, you're still paying attention. That's good. You go line minus c squared, and then it's the other two sides that are left, x and y. X squared plus y squared, and then divided by 2 times x. It looks very daunting. It is not. It is actually very, very easy to solve. Some students prefer cosine law over sine law. So box that in. But I would really want you to remember this too. Start with the largest angle if I give you a choice. Just do it, okay? Start with the largest angle and you won't have any issues. I don't want to give you the formulas, just here are the formulas. I'd rather write them out and you write them out so you see the pattern, okay? Let's put them to the test. Solve for side P. So first of all, let's go. That's side, angle, side. I'm gonna start with A here. I'm gonna solve for A. Side, angle, side. You know it's cosine law. So if you have these three given, you're wanting to find that one right there. You cannot start with sine law. It's impossible. You will only have to, you pick, and it's cosine law. So watch this. I'm going to go p squared is equal to r squared plus q squared minus 2 times r times q times cosine of, you should be able to fill in the blank. You should see the pattern that this is angle P here. And I don't write it out every time, but for now we will do that. So P squared is equal to R squared would be this one. This is R and this is Q here. So it'd be 5 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 5 times 8 times cosine of 70 degrees. And this is where you need to try your calculators real quick. Watch what I'm going to do. It's p squared, right? What do you do to find p on its own? Square root. So I already do that. This is my next line, like that. And you're like, but Mr. Jason, don't you have to figure out what this is? Yes. Watch this. So follow me, please. So 5x2, right? Plus 8x2 minus 2 times 5 times 8 times cosine of 70. I did it all in one shot. And that's what you write down. I use all decimals. So I go 61.63, and then I just go dot, dot, dot like that. That's you. And then I go, do you remember how to do square root? Second x2. Then I go second negative to call the answer. And the answer is 7.85. Done. I know you want to go, but just do you have a pair now? Anybody? Do you have a pair? Yes, you do have a pair. This 7.85 is now known to us, so that's a pair. So you could continue your journey with sine law, but you also now have, watch this, SSS. You have all three sides. So you could continue your journey with cosine law if you wanted to. I'm going to stick with cosine law. Let's just do this one example, and then you can go. I'm going to find side R. So cosine, angle R, sorry. Cosine of R is going to be, I know R is going to be subtracting there at the end. So it's P squared plus Q squared minus R squared. The bottom is 2 times P times Q. So cosine of R is, P is 7.85. I just figured it out. Q is 8 squared minus R is 5 squared over 2 times P, which is that first side, 7.85. I will use brackets on this one, times 8. So I basically take the first side, put it down, take the second side, put it down. And this is what I want you to do now. Find the top, 7.85 squared plus 8 squared minus 5 squared, which is 25, and just write it down, all decimals. And then figure out what the bottom is. Are you ready for this? Angle R is cosine inverse. Cosine inverse. You got to use cosine inverse of that. So watch how I do this. Second cosine, 100.6225 divided by 125.6. Close the brackets. I type that all in one shot. Then I hit enter, and I get 36.76. We're going to leave it there. I would say the only homework is make sure you got sine law nailed down to the T, right? And then tomorrow we'll continue with this. So no AC on cosine law tomorrow, okay?